Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat came again. It's so reliable. Come sing with me and we'll welcome Shabbat in together. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom. We'll light the candles and look at this. I got some real matches this week. Big matches. Okay, so let's see how it goes. All right. Ah. Take in the light with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Shabbat. And there we have it. Shabbat has begun. We made it happen by lighting the candles. So I guess we better invite our guests, because we got to have guests for Shabbat. We'll invite the angels. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharetz, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We ask them to bless us. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu. We have another very important guest, the bride of Shabbat. We imagine her dressed in her beautiful dress with her hair pinned up. And she's going to come in and we're going to get to waltz with her. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishme'anu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem tiferet v'litchila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. It says, come, my beloved, let's go out to meet the bride. We'll welcome her inside. We'll welcome the coming of Shabbat. Okay, you ready to do that with me? To really welcome Shabbat? I'm going to read you our Psalm 92, the Psalm for Shabbat. I'm just reading a little part of it. It says, the righteous people who try to live a kind and reliable and honest life. Those are the righteous people. The righteous people will flourish like the palm trees, grow tall like the cedars in Lebanon, rooted in the courtyards of our God. They will bear fruit. What's the bearing of the fruit? That means the goodness that they do in their lives sends out goodness, and it ripples further and further out. They will be still fruitful in old age, proclaiming that Adonai, our God, is just, our rock, in whom there is no wrong. And now we'll sing those words. Tzadikat ha'machar yifrach ke'erez balvanon yizkei shetulim bevet Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yanuvon b'seva deshenim v'ra'nanim iyu lehagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri velo avlatabo. Well, this week in the Torah, we have the best romance in the whole Torah, the best love story that happens in the Torah. That's the Torah, the 5 books of Moses. I would have to think harder if it's the best love story that happens in the whole Bible. But this is a good one, a really good one. So Abraham has gotten old, and Sarah has died. Abraham and Sarah are father and mother. And Abraham's getting old, and he's worried that his son Isaac isn't married yet. How's he going to have multitudes of descendants if his son isn't even married yet? So he asks his servant Eliezer to go back to where Abraham grew up and to find a person from his father's ancestral house for a match for his son Isaac. So Eliezer makes the trip, and indeed he finds a relative in the family who is of marriageable age, and he meets her at the well. And she's very beautiful, and her name is Rebecca. And she's very kind. She offers to give him water and to water his camels. And she invites him to go to her parents' house so that, you know, he has a place to rest, but then he also gets to ask her parents, her father and her brother, if she can go back all the way to Mesopotamia and marry Isaac. And to signal the fact that Abraham is a rich man, his servant Eliezer has put, he's given Rebecca a bracelet and a nose ring. And so he comes in and he meets her family, and the time comes, and her parents say to her, "Are you willing to go with this man?" Now that's something really interesting, that this was very, very, very long ago, when we think that women, you know, didn't have much rights. But the parents, they would like to make this match, because obviously he's going to take care of her well. But they ask Rebecca if she's willing to go. And she says yes, she is willing. She is willing. So she gets on the camel and she follows along with Eliezer, and he's got 10 camels with him. And I don't know why he's got to have so many camels, but he does. And they're making a long voyage back home to Mesopotamia, to Isaac's home in Mesopotamia. Now, meanwhile, Isaac, back home in Mesopotamia, he knows that Eliezer is bringing him his wife, and he's kind of excited about it. And he goes out in the evening. He goes out when the sun is setting and it's twilight, and he goes out to pray. But he also looks over the horizon to see if he can see any camels coming. And I have to tell you, I lived in Israel for a couple of years, and part of that time I was in at the north part of the Judean desert, and we could look out over the hills, and we would see camel trains, and it's very exciting. I don't know why, but it is. So Isaac's there in the twilight, and he looks out and he sees the camel train coming with his wife, but they're far away. They're quite a distance. And Rebecca, she is riding her camel with Eliezer, the servant. He's on a different camel. And they see this man way in the distance. And she says to Eliezer, the servant, she says, "Who is that man?" And Eliezer says, "That's your husband. That man is your husband." And it says, I'm quoting you the exact words from the Torah, she falls off her camel. Okay, she's struck with, oh my goodness, and she slips off the camel. And she gets back on, I think, and they see each other. And it says this beautiful thing, Isaac welcomes her into his mother Sarah's tent, because Sarah has recently died, And it says Isaac loved her immediately and was comforted at the loss of his mother. And there's a midrash, a story we tell about this, that when when Sarah died, that the light in her tent went out. But when Rebekah entered it with Isaac, the light came back on. She brought light back to Sarah's tent and warmed Isaac's heart. And I just can picture it. Can you picture it? Someday I'll be able to paint a painting of that beautiful scene of them seeing each other in the twilight and kind of falling in love at first sight with each other. So that's our romance story this week from the Torah. Okay, let's sing our song of peace. Oh, say shalom bimromav, uya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imiru, amen. So whenever we're together and we're praying together, we like to remember people who might need strength or they might need healing in some way. So think of who those people might be, and if you want, you can say their names, and we'll sing a song of healing for them. And I just learned something this morning in one of the studies, one of the classes I'm taking, that whenever we say a prayer for healing for one person, we open up the gates of heaven, so to speak, and we ask that all people who are in need of healing be included in the prayer. Isn't that beautiful? So that's what we're going to do today. Okay, have you had a chance to think of who that might be? All right, let's sing together. Mi sheberach avotinu mikor habracha limalotinu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. So we wish all those people who are needing to know that they're loved and that they need a little extra energy to get through a difficult time, that we're there with them and that God is there with them. Amen. So we also take time when we have a service to remember people who have died, either the anniversary of their death or if there's been a recent death. And again, I want to invite you to say names. And we'll say Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chaye chon uv'yomei chon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael v'agala v'zman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam ul'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrumam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yoma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Hosei shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen. So we'll close with a special, we add a little wine or a little juice to our blessing on Shabbat to make it more special. So we'll lift up our cups. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen l'chaim l'chaim. And we'll initiate our meal with a blessing over bread, our basic food. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. So I'm wishing you a day of rest and spiritual regeneration. It's good to notice which things nourish your spirit and do more of those things. And we'll sing one more song and then I'll say goodbye and see you next week. Okay? So let's do bim bam bim 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 bam bim 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 bam bim bam bim 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 bam bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom. Shabbat shalom, and I will see you next week.